Andariki Namaskaram. So today we are having a special guest from Tamil Nadu. So he is Raunaq, co-founder of Fully Filmy. So for folks who doesn't know what Fully Filmy is, so Fully Filmy is an Indian brand which sells merchandise. They sell a lot of things: cups, posters, T-shirts, sweatshirts, on movies, and
Hoodies also, like the one Prithvi is wearing right now.
exactly.
Yeah, this one.
So they have been around in this market for a while now, and so as a part of this podcast, we wanted to interact with all type of people who are associated with movies, and Fully Filmy is one such venture wherein, uh, let's say, they have taken their passion to the next level and made it their livelihood. As a part of this, right? So I wanted to start from how crazy about how Ronak was crazy about his movies, and how eventually he ventured, like he transformed his craziness into a whole business idea. So yeah, hi Ronak, welcome.
Thank you guys for having me. Sorry it took this long to do this. I know we've been talking for quite a while, but yeah, it's been a very weird last 2 years. So now we're like making up for everything that all of us lost in the last 2 years, right? A lot of us would have, given up so many things, or lost so many things. So this year hopefully is a little better for all of us. So yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, it makes I mean, as a business, right, you're just starting up, and I think you're been around here from 2016, right?
2015 we started. 2016 is when we actually started hiring like a team. Before that, it was just three of us. And then 2016 we started, we got our first angel, and then we started hiring, and then things went off from there. But I'll still believe that, again, every single year, I'll just still believe that we're just getting started. Like, especially after the last 2 years, it feels like, I don't know. It feels like we're reinventing everything again. So it's scary, but at the same time, it's something exciting to look forward to.
Right. So why I asked was because for a small business, and for a business that is heavily dependent on shipping, right? And for something like a COVID to come, wherein the shipping business and everything was at a standstill for about 3 months initially, and then again in the second lockdown, the things were worse. So I think you guys would have taken a huge hit, and I'm happy that with RRR, I see that has been your biggest merchandise till date, and I'm happy that you guys are coming up strong.
Yeah. It's not just the shipping. Like, shipping got stalled for some time. So the thing is, when it comes to a business, like especially like ours, I can talk about, like, there are so many people who are involved. Like, there are so many vendors. Their production, that has to like go on smoothly. For them, some other example, if you take one of our vendors, he has to get like cotton and material and all of that stuff from someone else. So there's an entire supply chain like this,
right.
And so it's interdependent, everything. And we had a lot of plans in 2020, because 2019 was like our most successful year. We did like our best sales during that time. So 2020 we wanted to like really expand, and then obviously COVID hit. Everything like took a toss. So for a long time we were just, I don't know, like, when you have a nice car, but you can't find a petrol bunk, so you can't move, right? There's no point in having a nice car when we don't have fuel, unless you have electric, which will again take some time. But so we were waiting for some kind of miracle to happen. But honestly, the thing is, like, miracles don't happen automatically. Like, you have to do something to make it happen. So Triple R was one of those things. Like, I remember in 2020, just before the lockdown, my partner Anand, he somehow got in touch with Triple R's team, like the production side and all that. It was one of the last flights before the lockdown, like to go to Hyderabad and come back. And that time the scare was real. Like, most of the flight was empty. No one knew what was going on. So he went there. He got the, how do you say, had like a discussion with the team, came back, we got everything signed, and we wanted to start. We thought, I think Triple R also was hopeful of releasing in 2020 itself.
Yes.
But that didn't happen. 2021 also didn't happen. 2022 now, hopefully. Fingers crossed, hopefully things are getting better. Now things will happen. So it took a while. Like we were waiting to release this and then get into the Telugu market also, because we thought the Tamil industry, like Tamil fans were crazy, but Telugu fans are also on some other level, because over here there are mainly two main stars. There are also other stars, but in Telugu you have like 5 different big stars, and each of them have their own this thing. And now the good thing about Telugu is that, especially if you take Triple R, like the Ramcharan and NTR are acting together. That we don't get to see much in Tamil, but slowly that's also changing. Now, if you saw do you follow Tamil cinema?
Yes, very much.
So did you watch the Beast promo?
Yeah, we did.
So Sivakarthikeyan is writing lyrics and he's coming in part of the promotions and all that. So that's amazing, right? So we don't get to see that much here. Hopefully things will change. But anyway, I started from somewhere and I went somewhere else.
So that's the point of the podcast, I guess.
Yeah. So Triple R is big, yeah.
So same thing, right? Lokesh Kanagaraj's new venture, Kamal Hassan, Fahad Fasil, and Vijay Sethupathi. And that poster is also like crazy mad, actually. Everyone is black. So really looking forward. So the point where you stopped, right? Actually, this is a segue that we wanted to also touch upon was, so for us, right? For us as Telugu audience, there was always a Tamil market for us. So for us, while we are growing up, Narsimha and Basha were a cult for us as well. I don't know. They were obviously cults in Tamil industry, but for us as well, it is a household name. So all of us cousins.
Narsimha is Padayappa, right?
Padayappa,
yeah. Padayappa.
Okay. Right.
So Kamal Hassan had a parallel market in Telugu and in Tamil at the same time. He did direct Telugu films, obviously, with Swati Mutyam as one of the examples, but in Tamil he has done a lot more films, which also usually got dubbed and had a huge release in Telugu as well. He used to run for long days. So I was just adding a point to that.
Yeah. So we always knew I wouldn't say we always knew what Tamil cinema was, but there was a constant parallel market here where we used to watch Tamil films. And that is the reason why, right? So Vijay or Vikram, in their initial days also, their films got dubbed and we knew who they were. Let's say from Wali times also, we knew who Vijay was. So how sorry, Ajit, yeah.
You don't want to say wrong names.
Yeah. Yeah. So how was the scene in Tamil Nadu?
During that time, during 90s and all
that. Your childhood and how, like, watching
films. Okay, like that. So see, I've moved around quite a bit, in the sense like I've lived in different cities. So coincidentally, I was born in Hyderabad. And so the thing is, my parents were bank officers. They're part of a government bank. They used to work for a government bank. And what happens with a government bank is you get a lot of transfers, right? So I was born in Hyderabad. Immediately after 6 months, we came to Chennai. And then from Chennai, in 98 or something, we moved to Guwahati, which is in Assam. Spent 2 years there. Then came to Bombay again. That was for like around 5 years. And then back to Chennai. That's been... So I've not seen much of Telugu cinema when I was small, to be honest. So I've grown up mainly on Rajnikant movies only during the 90s, especially. So I don't remember this much, but I used to eat food only if like a particular Rajni song was playing. So otherwise I wouldn't eat. So I was that kind of this thing. So I don't even remember watching Basha and all in the theater, actually. I would have been like 5 years old or something. But I know this based on all the stories that my family tells me. But I know I used to have like Rajni stickers all across my little cupboard that I used to have. Like during Basha's time, like little after that, you used to get these small stickers in like stationery shops and everywhere outside also. So I remember that a lot. So then in Guwahati, honestly, the track kind of changed. Like we watched all the Tamil movies and all that, but when you go to Guwahati, you can't see Tamil movies. That is one thing.
Right.
So what used to happen was that my uncle who was in Chennai, there's this place called Burma Bazaar. I don't know if you know about Burma Bazaar.
Oh, I
so
think
it's
I
like
know.
you get anything you want from. It's like a market for smuggled goods, basically.
Right.
All the black market stuff. So right from whiskey to chocolates to your VCDs that time, you get pretty much everything there. So every 3 months, my uncle used to make like a box of VCDs. He'll tell the shopkeeper to give whatever is new in the market. So every single movie, whether it released or not, everything will be there with us, like from Tamil to Hollywood to everything. So that was something that me and my sister used to like. There were 2-3 movies, mainly like there was one Vijay movie. It's called Kadalukku Maryadai. It's originally a Malayalam film and then it got remade into Tamil. It's a very, very big hit of the 90s. And it's one of the movies where Vijay doesn't really fight and all that much. It's a purely like a romantic movie. That was one. There used to be other random Tamil movies which we used to watch. But apart from that, the usual Jurassic Park, Home Alone, all of this stuff would go on repeat until the VCD got scratched and then we'll have to buy a new one again. And this was also a time when my mother, she realized that we are going to be moving around a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So we need to know Hindi if you move around North India and everything, because in Tamil Nadu, it's one state where people are very much against Hindi, or I don't know, against or not. There's like a political thing that happened in the 70s or 80s like that. Let's not get too much into that. But basically, as Tamilians, as part of our culture, Hindi is like an alien thing. We avoid it. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually half Tamil, half Malayali. In the sense, I'm originally Malayali, but spent most of my life in Tamil Nadu. So I relate to both these cultures. Right. So my mom basically realized that, we need to learn Hindi, otherwise we'll have a tough time in school, right? Already people will make fun that, North Indians, especially when you're kids and all that, they'll be like Madrasi, all of that stuff. That racism starts in school itself. So in order to combat that, you need to learn the language. So she started making us watch Shah Rukh Khan movies. Like every weekend, she'd take us to the theater, whatever Shah Rukh Khan movie was playing or any Hindi movie was playing. She'll take us for that. And that's how we actually learned Hindi. We didn't actually learn from school. All the Hindi I know is purely based on Shah Rukh Khan movies, and then later, watching Kahuna Pyar Hai, all of that kind of stuff. Late 90s, early 2000s, stuff like that. So that was mostly my childhood. It's mainly a lot of Rajni movies, a little bit of Vijay. Ajit, I think I only watched Wali, the one that you mentioned. And then a lot of Shah Rukh Khan, really a lot of Shah Rukh Khan, and pretty much any, of course, Amir Khan also, another huge, part of my childhood. And then a lot of Spielberg, really a lot of every single Jurassic Park or any such big event movies. That was, I think, Home Alone. That was pretty much my early childhood. I'm not going to lie that I watched all these art movies and all that. I had no idea. Anything commercial, I used to watch. Yeah, that was basically my childhood.
Right. Actually, I relate a lot with you. So, I also watched a lot of Shah Rukh Khan movies during my childhood. So that is why I am still a crazy fan of Shah Rukh, but sadly isn't doing any more movies. Like, rooting.
No, I don't. It's a very difficult place for him to be, in the sense, he's ruled the country, most of the world, for like such a long time. And the thing is, he's also stuck in a certain box. There's a section of the audience who wants him to do that, but he's also getting old. Like, he can't do the same thing. And the thing is, unlike a lot of other big superstars, he's a really good actor. Most of them will say that he just overacts and then he just does that, all of that stuff. But actually, he can act. If you see movies like Swades and all that, that's
agreed.
Also Chak De India to an extent. Even that has a little bit of over dramatic stuff, but every once in a while he gives some like really amazing performance, and then he goes back to doing, pleasing his audience. So I really wish that he just stops giving a complete fuck about what other people are saying and just do random stuff. Like, what does he have to lose? I don't. That's what I feel. But he's in a. Of course, when you're in a position like that, then the entire. I don't know how you even think, how you go about your day. What do you think of? How do you manage so much stress? I have no clue. So we can say anything that we want.
Yeah, but he also does something like a Dear Zindagi, right? Which is I wouldn't say it was right up his alley, but that role was like sort of tailor made for him, right? I can't imagine anyone else than SRK.
Right.
Okay. Like, to be honest, I didn't like that movie much. I don't know.
The movie might the movie might have had different reactions, but what SRK did in the film, particularly speaking, I think it was.
So that thing about SRK, like he does, of course, he suited the role very well, but I think he does a lot of favors for his friends. In the sense, a lot of movies in the 90s and this thing, like, it's a good thing I'm saying about him. Like, there is one friend called Vivek Vaswani. I don't know if you know him. He's like a spexy guy. I don't know if he's still there, but because all of these people started in theater together in Delhi and then in Bombay, when they came, they were part of the same struggle. So friends like Aziz Mirza, Juhi Chawla, all of these people, they're like really tight. So Shah Rukh Khan, no matter where he is, that one good thing about him, or sometimes a bad thing, is that he'll do anything for his friends. He'll be part of, whatever they are coming up with. So that's a nice and sometimes disadvantageous thing about him. So in this, I think Gauri Shinde also is like an old friend of his. If I'm not wrong, I'll have to cross check. But yeah, I really can't care for that movie much. I'm sorry, but
no issues. So going back to that point where we were talking about Telugu films in Tamil Nadu. So what was the first? When were you introduced to Telugu cinema, commercial or artsy, whatever?
No, there isn't much of art cinema in Telugu anyway.
Yeah, there isn't, right?
Of 80s or 90s, which you might not know, but
like very few
commercial Telugu cinema.
I think we watched a lot of Telugu films in the form of Tamil films. Like, if you take Gilli, all of that stuff is...
Okay, Gilli was a remake, right?
Gilli was a remake. Pokeri was a remake.
Right.
Basically, most of 2000s, mid-2000s, Vijay films were remakes only. So I think we've seen a lot of Telugu films, but in Tamil. But really, like, I think if I'm not wrong, if the first Telugu film I saw in the theater was Pelli Chuplu, actually. That was not that long ago. So this was the time when I started even watching Malayalam films. Even though I am a Malayali, I have not watched a lot of Malayalam films because, like I said, we were always moving around. Accessibility was difficult. Movies wouldn't play in the theaters. And that time, VCDs, you wouldn't really get much of Malayalam VCDs, at least where I used to buy and all of that. And of course, there was no OTT, so you can't really access anything. So this was a time, I think, when that new wave of Telugu was happening. When filmmakers like Tarun Bhaskar and all were coming in, they started making something. So I think that was the time I was mature enough to say, okay, let's watch other stuff. Otherwise, until a certain point, you don't really want to see other language films, right? Like, you have to, I don't know if it's maturity or rather you don't want to spend too much time on understanding or reading subtitles, all of that stuff. But except English films, because so I think Pelli Chuplu was the first, and then pretty much like Arjun Reddy, anything like this kind of school of filmmaking, anything like that, I'll watch it. Then at the same time, commercial cinema, there's no one like Telugu cinema to do it. In the sense, a simple scene, like take stuff like Alavaikundapuram, right? What is that story? There's nothing. It's the same thing that we've seen so many times, like this life.
It's an age-old story.
Age-old story. But how do you tell it? Like the way it begins itself. The thing about Telugu cinema that I love is they do the same thing every single time. In the sense, they start the story from before they were born, or they start with their family, and then they, in that credit sequence, they explain the entire mythology. It's kind of like Mahabharata. They set up the entire thing, and then they introduce the character. and it just gets elevated like to some other. And every single scene, Allu Arjun is just walking and he dropped some towel or something. That also is that also is so much fun. You get, I don't know why you get goosebumps for that. So that's also something that I really love. Like Pushpa, for example. I don't know if I liked it completely, but there are few of these standout sequences. Example, that sandalwood thing, which all of the what do you call, the logs
the
of wood
water
that
and
come.
reservoir.
If logically there is no logic, but they still make you believe it. That's what's amazing about Telugu cinema. So I really respect that more than these artistic how do you say, these acclaimed movies. If you give me like a very good commercial movie, then I don't want anything else. That's like perfect, like Andhra meals, right? There's no such satisfaction that you get from like a pasta or pizza and all that, even though that might be good.
Yeah,
right.
This is a very interesting point, right? So we haven't been telling this on record, but me and Prithvi have discussed this multiple times. So let's say the climax of Bahubali 2, right? Conclusion.
Yeah.
So it is a bit overwhelming actually. He is bending the trees, people are going overboard, and I was like, what the hell is happening, dude? When I was watching it the first time, the movie was very good until the Dandalaya song. After that, I lost the movie. This is because I've seen such stuff in Telugu movies a lot. Right from early 2000s, all of this is happening. When Balakrishna comes and just lays his hand, the man flips 3 times, and we have been seeing this for 20 years. So what was done in Bahubali wasn't actually something new to us. But after a year or so, I saw some Hollywood reviewers commenting that this stuff wasn't ever made in cinema as such, like whatever they made. And he was specifically quoting that scene where people are being thrown off of that trees.
The trees and catapulted.
Catapulting tree, yeah.
Exact. And I was like, oh, this is because we have been watching Telugu cinema for so long. We are here. But why Bahubali went crazy in other states and other areas is because it is the first time that they are seeing this, and that's the reason why even Pushpa is also gone into the masses like this, is what I believe. But this art, like telling commercial cinema, right, in a way, basically celebrating stars, I think that is best done in Telugu cinema. I agree. But as such, other than Chiranjeevi, right, and Rajnikant in Tamil, I don't see any like that amount of impact on screen, like all of these stars, whatever we have, right? And I may get into a lot of trouble for saying this, but these people, they are still very early in their careers, is what I would say.
No, the thing is, you see, I don't completely agree that it's just Chiranjeevi and Rajni, as far as I know. Because like when you experience like a Vijay film or an Ajit film in the theater, it doesn't matter if you personally like them or not. There are people who go like literally crazy. But after this, I don't know if anyone can get to that level of stardom. Even though, because the thing is, imagine the world in the 90s, or even before 2010, when there was not much, social media was not there. So there you couldn't, like, this wasn't there in your hand. So your world was like completely around. Right now, your attention is basically divided into so many places that it's impossible for you to get totally connected to one thing. Like, except if you say like games, like video games, right? You can get sucked into that world. That's like a constant dopamine producer, and then it knows how to keep you hooked. Same with social media also. The thing is, it just distributes your attention, and when your attention is distributed, you can't get really attached to like a person. So any star or any actor that comes, they really have to prove their their mettle through the content only. If your content is not good after this, I don't think it's going to work in the long run. At least it will work for the next maybe 3 years, maximum 5 years. But after that, I feel that things are going to change a lot. Like that star thing itself is like breaking, right? Because example, stars like Surya, he is realizing that there is another market, like for OTT market, and he was one of the first few people to like step in the South and create movies, especially like specifically for the OTT. And he's not really afraid to test like a movie like Surare Portrait. That would have done very well in the theaters. That is like a proper theater movie, but
Agreed.
took a risk. I think it really paid off, and now he's making movies specifically for this. He's signing different contracts and like with Hollywood production houses also, and then he's creating something in collaboration together. So there are people who realize that star power is slightly reducing and they're like adapting. There are some people who are really powerful who will be celebrated for a few years, but there are a lot of people who are still in that old world. They still think, we are this, we should do only this and all of that. But I think they are going to like realize like really soon if they don't adapt too much.
Right.
And you're seeing it in Bollywood mainly. Like what is working in Bollywood? I don't know what is working.
No, I don't know.
I don't think anything is working right now, only except for remakes.
Except for remakes, and then to a certain extent, you have actors like Vicky Kaushal. Like he's becoming like a household name. I think the last big hit that I saw, which was it? Maybe Uri or no? I think that also was quite a while ago. I'm not even able to recollect Hindi films from the last 2 years.
Same year.
Sorry to anyone who loves Hindi cinema. I love Hindi cinema more than anyone else, but I don't know. I think Karan Johar himself is. There's this round table, right? Round table.
Yeah.
All of them are completely clueless. They don't know what to do. There are some people like there's this director called Nikhil Advani. He's the director of D-Day,
right?
Like these films and all that.
Okay.
He has his own company called MA Entertainment, and he's producing a lot of shows for OTT. Like for example, the show called Mumbai Diaries, which came out like last year. That was a really good show according to me. Now they made the show called Rocket Boys.
Right.
Sony Live.
Yeah. Sony Live.
So they're doing some interesting stuff. But even Karan Johar is in the OTT space, but I think he's also trying to figure out what to do for theatrical. There was this one film that he was making, right? Takht. Which had like, I don't think it's shelved.
Okay.
He's still very scared about it. So he made another movie in the middle with Ranveer and Alia. It's called, what is that? Rocky and something ki Prem Kahani or something like that.
Okay.
Rocky, Ranveer and Alia. Yeah. So he's openly said that we don't know what is going to work. At one point he said only these big ticket films and high concept films will work. That is right to a certain extent, but even like except Suryavanshi, which came out last year, Akshay Kumar's movies, other than that it's not really happening. But theaters also have to start opening up, right?
But in North, right, the closing up of single screen is really big actually. In South we do not see that much, but here also it is happening. But single screens are being closed rampantly in North, and that is a concern where I think the producers are coming from. And I think I saw your video on this. Why Vijay will be the last superstar on your channel or on some other channel?
No, I don't think I made on. I think Fully Filmy's channel. Maybe I think
someone else. I think in one of the interviews, Baddy was also saying this in something where these two might be the last league of superstars, quote unquote, where we'll see that larger than life. They represent something that is larger than life, and since they are on the poster of a film, people will go to watch it, no matter what the trailer is, what the film is about. So going back to that point where there is this saying, content is king, right? There's this phrase that used to be said or in theater, in reviews, or we used to see in media when we used to see good films back in the day. But because Chiranjeevi and Rajini sir come from a place where you said that the attention span was completely around the world, and because the content was that good and they were representing that content, people started loving cinema through them in a way. So So now
Definitely.
that thing has receded, and there are so many avenues where you can get super content, and it does not have to have a Vijay or a Mahesh Babu for you to see
Yeah.
it. It has to
Yeah.
something as simple as Rocket Boys. Hardly people know who are playing those characters, but you may still go watch it. So
Yeah.
I'm agreeing to that. But when Surya decided to come out to OTT and do things for OTT, so is that going to be the future for other stars, even in Telugu also? Like, so at some point, maybe they should also step into OTT, or start making films that is not catering to their audience, but for
Right.
telling a good story or for telling a good series, probably.
See, to be very honest, like I don't know the Telugu audience as much as I know the Tamil audience, so I can't
Agreed.
completely
Yeah.
say. But
Yeah.
you see movies like Pushpa and all is doing so well, not only in Telugu but in Hindi also. In Hindi, I think it
Right.
crossed 100 crore.
Right.
Like,
Yes, it did.
so they are doing something right. I don't think they have to worry for some time. But there are actors like Rana, who have Rana Dagubati has already entered OTT space. He's planning a lot
Right.
of stuff, like in terms of like across different kinds of formats, like even animation and different kinds of storytelling, and also he's going to be getting into all of that stuff.
Right.
I think Samantha also has a show, if I'm not wrong.
I
She has a
think
talk show
so.
on AHA.
Yeah, so there are these people, there are these actors doing different stuff. Samantha's gotten properly into web series, right? Like with
Yeah, right.
with Family
Yeah.
Man, and she's doing one more thing with the same creators, I think.
Yeah,
Rajan DK.
Rajan DK,
Yeah,
but
with Rajan
produced by
DK.
Russo Brothers. No, that is different thing.
Oh,
So
I'm not sure. I'm not
Russo
sure.
Brothers are
just
producing something which in one of those is Rajan DK are part of, but I don't think it's the same thing.
so
But
actually that collaboration, right? It is very interesting. So they are planning three series, I think, or three movies.
Yeah.
All three stories are in a way connected, but all are directed independently. So Russo brothers are directing one part, Rajan DK are directing one part, and another set of pair of directors are directing another part. So all three of them
Nice.
are in a way linked. So this is some project that was announced before Family Man 2.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I think Venkatesh has also entered with Rana, and
they're
Naga
making a
Chaitanya has
show.
also entered.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so I think coming from an actor's perspective, I think TV series or web shows, they give a lot of range for them to perform because they're having 10-hour length content to perform, right?
Yeah.
But
No, one more thing is that now it's not just them who can produce content. It's not just the film industry which can produce content. Like you have so many of these social media creators, YouTubers who've come to that level since 2016. That growth has been like this. Now, if you want to promote a film, you have to go to all of these people also and then say, let's do some collaborated content
right.
so that it reaches them. And if you see their followers, so everyone is on like a level playing ground in terms of gaining attention. Anyone sitting in this street can produce content, and it has the power to even exceed the popularity of stars right now. So that competition is really there. Like if you see Bhuvan Bam,
Right.
he just made that web series, right? Dindora.
Right.
That is like a huge hit. And even in terms of that technicality of how he's pulled off few shots with like 5 or 7 people in the same frame, and they're all running together and all of that. So everyone is upping their game. So it is not like before that these people, we used to look at them as like, gods, that, whatever thing I can't do in my own life, I will see this person do, and then I'll feel this thing, and then I'll go back to my regular life. It's not like that. If you want to do something, you can do it. It'll take maybe some time to get there. And sometimes if your stuff is really good, you can reach there faster. But yeah, like there's just too much competition.
Right.
Right. Also, coming to shows, because we talked about shows. I've seen The Wire. Sandy has seen Succession, but I did not see Succession. He did not see Wire, but you have seen both.
Yeah.
So there is this. Sandy has been raving about Succession since in last 1 month. So he was saying that it is so good that even the material of Succession can be made into books, and people like film enthusiasts can read about it, can study it. I feel the same about Wire also. Because you've seen both shows, what do you like? What do you have to say about these two shows?
There is just so much. Like
you have a lot of time.
Personally, see, I absolutely love Succession, but the thing is, there is something called like a recency bias, right? I've seen that only after moving to this house in the last 2 years. I watched 3 seasons, and no doubt that it's a great show. I really, it's one of my favorite shows of all time. But The Wire is, it's something else. Like, it was made in the early 2000s, and before you had Game of Thrones, before all of that stuff, you made like this expansive universe with so many different characters on both sides of the law, on all sides of the law. Like, which other show can take a cop and criminal, a cop and drug mafia story, but also include how it impacts the school, the shipping, logistics, and everything. Every single part of like that was. If you're like, you can understand humanity if you watch that show. Like, there are so many people who are trying to do something, whether it's good or bad, you don't know. Like, cops do bad things, criminals do good things. You can't judge, because there is just and every character is written with so much empathy and so much time, right? I'm saying this because I watched it. I think I watched it like thrice, and it's not an easy show to watch, because it really tests your patience. It takes time to get into it, but if you're into it, you're into it. You're in that world. You don't feel like you're watching a show anymore. You're feeling like, okay, this Bubbles guy is going to come here, and then Omar is coming. His house is over here, so you can imagine all of that. So in that, The Wire is, I don't know. Still, people don't know about it. That's the thing, right? Succession, now you have memes and everything. There are no memes based on The Wire.
Memes on Wire.
Yeah. So it's still not penetrated that pop culture that much over here. And if people really spend time, it's difficult to ask someone to spend time and watch it. And you can't watch it while you're using your phone, or when you're watching it on your phone and you get notifications and all of that stuff. It's just not right. I think it has to be experienced in a different way. So I love Succession, but The Wire is easily the greatest show ever made. I don't think anything comes, and I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan also. So
same here, yeah.
That is like, and the thing is, I made my mom also watch The Wire. And like, I sat with, and there are a lot of scenes which you can't watch with your family. But the thing is, she also got. My mom is like in her 60s, so she got sucked into the universe for that 1 week where we finished the entire thing, and you really feel for certain characters, right? Like, you want this guy to work out, and then you find yourself rooting for the bad guy, which you won't do in the real world. You'll be like, if you look at someone on the road, he's even if he's like smoking a cigarette under the flyover or something, you'll be like, this guy is like this, like you useless guys. But when you watch this, you feel like you're rooting for a gangster, like who's just murdered some guy and come. Even the worst of the characters, it's written in such a way that you feel that empathy. Yeah, there is. I don't know if it's good or bad. You can put yourself in that person's shoes. You can understand where they came from, and you can think that if I had such a life, would I do something different? Maybe I would do the same thing as them. So yeah, there's just too much to love about that show.
Right. Agreed. And this the opening of Wire, the first episode, when I was watching it for the first time. I mean, I only watched it for the first time. So it took its time. I tried to put all my concentration in. It was a bit of a struggle, but by the time it ended, and then when the season episode 2 takes off, I was into the show. So as you said, it was made in early 2000s, and that time there's this huge expanse of huge world. There is a large world building. So many characters are there. So many things are at play. So for audience who are into this social media and smartphone generation, and for the future to come, so will these kind of shows will ever be made later? Like can such a huge time taking shows, they take time to set up. They take time for the character, for you to know the character. So can such shows be made in the future also? What do you think? Because the retention time is gone now. We always want dopamine all the time, or there is only the reels are hit for a reason. You have to show a lot of content within a minute. So,
but if you look at YouTube, it's still one of the best, right? In the sense, in terms of watch time, in terms of annual revenue, all of that stuff, YouTube is doing much better than these other companies, than Netflix also. Right?
Yes. Right.
Because Netflix is investing so much in marketing. Like, for example, for a single video on their YouTube channel, they spend 1 to 2 crores. Not every video. There are certain particular videos. I won't say which one, because whoever told me this fact will get into trouble for that. So there's one particular video in which there are a lot of people.
Okay.
So there are a lot of different people, and it's supposed to be like a big production. That took around 2 crores to make. And they spent so much on marketing, and their subscriber base in India is what? 5 million.
5 million, yeah. Recent report, yeah.
Yeah. And whereas like Hotstar and Hotstar is at 37 or something. Prime is around mid
45 or 40. Maybe.
That's
or maybe.
No, Prime is lesser than Hotstar.
Lesser than Hotstar. Hotstar is the highest. That is majorly because of cricket.
Yeah. Cricket is there. So many shows are there. So many reality shows are there. Serials are there. Big Boss is there. All of this stuff is there, right?
Right.
And Netflix is trying something else. So I think short form content is, it does work. It keeps you hooked to that platform. But then long form content, I still believe it will survive. But it has to be made in such a way that it gets a lot of people to watch. In the sense, like the last time something like this happened, when everyone was watching something, was Game of Thrones, even though I wasn't watching. In the sense, like, I wasn't up to date with it, because, like, there are these people in office who will watch that episode, come in the morning, and you wouldn't have watched it, and they'll just give you all the spoilers, and then there's no point, like this person dies, so there's no point of watching. So I just stopped watching that. And Game of Thrones also, in the end, it was shit. But other than that, it was a movement, right? It was like a moment in history where everyone was watching the same thing. And that also was quite a while back. It was before, I think it was before TikTok was there in India, or before Instagram Reels was there in India. But it is possible to create stuff like that. But can The Wire work right now? Very doubtful. Something like that can work, but not in that same tone.
Not in the same tone. I don't mean in the same tone. I was just talking about long form content. Like short form content will work, as you've said, as you're seeing right now. But the long form ones, and 10 seasons or 5 seasons of full solid content, full great show.
Probably. Yeah, in this, I really don't know. I really want long form content to work, but where it'll work is like when you're alone, you can watch reels and all of that, right? It is not something you would sit with your girlfriend or boyfriend and scroll. You can't watch reels together for so much time, right? It is like, if when you're together, you want to spend some time, you put on a movie or a show, and then you talk about it. It goes like that. That really becomes a part of your life. Reels is like, okay, time pass. It can't really, if it really consumes your life, then I don't know. It's
they might not be watching this, so don't worry.
No. In the sense, like, watch all you want, but if I'm saying this because I've experienced it myself. In the sense, when you're continuously scrolling through reels, right? After some time, your brain switches off. Like, at least for me, like, you can predict which song is going to come, which trend is going to happen, and the same things keep repeating over and over again. And then after a point, you're not even watching the whole thing. You're watching the first 2-3 seconds, and you're just mindlessly just scrolling. So for me, I think that takes a big chunk out of my life. So I get too hooked to that. So I won't really, I'll try to keep away from it. I'd set like a timer on my phone for Instagram, and it tells me if I've crossed this much time and all that. But yeah, as in, no judgment, but personally, it's very harmful for me.
Right. But I have very mixed opinions on this, actually. So there is this show called Mindhunter on Netflix, made by David Fincher. That was an extraordinary show. That is like that was based on some real facts that people have done in late 70s and 80s. And So that basically delves into the psychosis of why a human becomes a serial killer. That's an extraordinary show, but Netflix didn't review it because it wasn't getting as much as traction as they have hoped. And that was a pretty big budget series, right? And they say that David Fincher is also busy on other projects, so they are not renewing it. But I think they are not renewing it because of the numbers. And then you have a show like Succession, which also takes time to set up. It is not like the first episode is also very hard to watch. It is not so easy because I think I have stopped a couple of times while watching that first episode. But after that first episode, you get hooked onto it. And then while the season, I watched it when there was a lot of buzz on Twitter saying that the season 3, episode 5 was mind blowing. I saw a tweet saying that my heart just stopped there. And then I watched the season 1 episode, and which was fairly recent and fairly slow while it's set up. And then we have something like Fargo in late 2015s, which also did very well. The pattern, what I see here, right, is so Succession, Fargo, all of these are made by established production houses, that is HBO, ABC Studios, etc. But something like Mindhunter is made by Netflix, which is fairly a new production house in the market. It might be very big, but it is very new as such. So that is why, right, you see something like a Money Heist, which is fairly an average series, but it is hyped so much that so after a point, I just watched stopping the show because of the hype. And then you have something like a Squid Game. I did not watch it because of that hype, because I know that I'll get diluted.
Same.
Yeah,
Same here.
so that is the problem I see with this fairly new production houses, more than the content, right? As you said, on the marketing aspect of it, and because the marketing has been very easy with, let's say, Instagram Reels and all, the hype that they are trying to create to onboard users is maybe not so good. But these big production houses that are already established, and so they are still focusing on content, is what I would say. But I think we will have to wait for the future to hold and see.
No, I disagree with that, in the sense, like, no one goes out to make an average show, right? No one goes out to make a bad show. Like, intention is always to make something good. Except if you want to do some money laundering or something, then you make a bad film and make it flop, and then you want to do something. That's a different thing. But mostly 95% of the people, they want to make good stuff. And Money Heist, I think first 2 seasons were really good. So it got picked up by Netflix, right? I don't think it was.
Yeah, it got picked up.
It originally made. It got picked up, and then they distributed it all along, and it gained popularity. But when you stretch a chewing gum beyond a limit, it becomes like really thin, and then it breaks. So that's what happened with Money Heist, I guess. End of the day, it's all about that content only, whether it works or not. And provided that there are people talking about it, it has to be distributed in the right way. Like if you take a show like Scam 1992, where there was no hype. I don't know how I got to know about the show. I started watching it, and it's one of the best Indian shows ever, easily. Rocket Boy is also, there's not that much hype. At least I've not seen that much hype, but I am really interested in that subject, like of space and, that's science. I've not seen much shows about that. So I started watching, and that it was pretty amazing. Now a lot of people are watching. So I disagree that it's just the production houses. Some people want to stretch it beyond a limit, right? I think Netflix is going to make a season 2 of Squid Game, which I think is a very bad idea. In the sense, it was good while it lasted. I really had fun with the show, except the end. But other than that, it was a really good show. So you have to know when to stop. And I think even in terms of Succession, they know that there'll be this much more seasons max. Best example is Breaking Bad, right? When you're writing it, he knew the end. He knew this is, I will not make anything after this. But again, they made a spin-off with Better Call Saul, which was as amazing.
Right.
So that really, it's like few writers and makers are gifted. But you have to know when to start, and you have to know when to stop. Game of Thrones didn't stop. Same, HBO made that, right? HBO also made Game of Thrones, but the last was so bad that the hype, I think it died in a day. Like as the show aired and ended, the entire fan base of Game of Thrones was not entire, but most of it was like just gone. No one wanted to talk about it.
Right.
Like
Agreed.
everyone, it became like a bad word. So everyone makes mistakes, but Netflix has a lot of learning to do, especially in India.
Agreed.
Like I agree. I think I don't know who tweeted it or spoke about it, but they said that it is anti-Hindu, or they're making certain shows or certain this thing that are anti-Hindu, or it's made for only like an elite population or something like that. I'm not going to get into the religion aspect of anything, but to a certain extent, you have to give what the audience wants, right? Like Hotstar is doing so well because of so many reality shows, but at the same time, they make a few shows which are like standout. Sony Live is not. It's the worst app ever created. The worst. It's the worst thing. You skip intro and then the intro starts. You watch this show, you want to click on this, but some other show will start. Then it starts blinking like some Christmas lights and something. I'm not able to watch the last episode of Rocket Boys. I don't know if it's the last one also. I'm not even able to see how many episodes are there. It's just stuck on episode 8. It's just flashing. I'm not able to access it. But they have good content. Right. They have they have Scam, they have Rocket Boys. There are a few more shows also. There's Shark Tank, which was such a pain for me to access because it starts in some descending order. The episodes are like, I don't know, some weird stuff. They have so much money, but they're also doing some.
They even have Churuli.
Yeah, I've not watched it yet, but I get to watch it. So even these smaller platforms, in the sense, platforms with not that much subscriber base, even they are trying different things. But Netflix is still in that one zone. It has to be woke. It has to be this, that. They look at it from like a quality point of view, but it's not working. So they have to do something different. Even they try to bring in Kapil Sharma now. I don't know the numbers on that, but that is obviously like a learning, right? To attract this kind of audience and maybe get subscribers. So they have to do a lot more such stuff. And,
Right. I mean, they are trying to do too many things at the same time, or if they are, they want to be, like as you said, they want to be woke. They want to be, they want to have international standards in the production. Like how
they're not trying to do too many things. Like they're doing the same thing again and again. Like they think that being woke is what is quality. So I don't believe that. Like few shows can be woke. Not every show has to be like that. Right? Some can be look, it's entertainment at the end of the day. Not everything has to send like a social message. I don't
exactly.
think so.
But right. Netflix is having a problem internationally also, right? So there was some comedian special on Netflix, and
Dave
the US employees.
Dave Chappelle,
Dave Chappelle.
And their employees boycotted a day or two of work, saying that they have to take that down or something. So I think Netflix has to sort that thing also out.
Yeah, but that I stand with what I think it was Ted Sarandos only who said. I don't know who's the main guy. He supported Dave Chappelle basically. He's like, we took a stance that in the beginning when we were starting out producing shows, we believed and we wanted to make sure that creators should get liberty, whatever response it is that we'll handle. But the thing is, Netflix employees itself became so woke that they started being against what they were making. So I still stand with what, I don't agree with everything that Dave Chappelle says, but I enjoy it. I can differentiate between what affects me and what doesn't affect me. But it's entertainment at the end of the day. And I think you have to view it with that lens of humor. This also might be a controversial opinion. I don't know. It's just difficult to say anything.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we have actually delved into some other zone only from where we started. But yeah, that is good. So coming back, right? So at the end of the day, right? For cinema as a business to succeed, we at the end, be it OTT or be it mainstream films, in a way, it has to become a success in India because we are a huge chunk of population, and if Netflix want to crack, or if Hotstar wants to crack, if a Bahubali has to work, or if let's say Avengers or Spider-Man has to work, it has to cater Indian market, right? And so while we are speaking that OTT has becoming mainstream, and there is a huge supply chain, or there is a huge affiliate. I wouldn't say affiliate market, but there are a lot of market, like let's say Fully Filmy, for example, right? And if for Fully Filmy to become successful, we require RRR, and we require a Pushpa to give that hit, right? So I don't see people wearing Churuli t-shirts or something, right? So this big event films is what economically also drives the industry forward. So let's say after Bahubali, right? So we saw spur of new age filmmakers coming and making films. Tarun Bhaskar was starting, but after that, we saw 10-15 new age directors coming and directing. That is because they had huge budgets after Bahubali.
Right.
So at the end of the day, the so-called commercial films have to work for all of these to work, and if they don't work, the industry is basically dying down. Is what I feel. So yeah.
100%. So that's what it's not just the producers and stuff, right? In the sense, like, if you take a big budget film, it involves like a big crew, right? From actors are just one small part of it. You have so much of technical crew, so many light boys, spot boys, all of these people. It is basically like starting a company, like a big company,
right.
And then you have so many different units, and you create employment. And for like smaller films, like independent films and all that, it's just like 4 guys shooting in a room, and that is their vision. They can go ahead and do it. But is that really adding to the economy part of it? I'm not sure. Like, not much. There are few breakout independent hits with like a small crew. So of course these films are important, but if you do it well. Don't take your audience for granted and just put slow motion, some explosions, and think because people are changing. People now, when you take Hotstar itself, you can see any Marvel movie in any language you want. Right? You can watch Black Panther in Telugu. That was not the case before. You can watch it any time. And right next to that is your movie also, which is, it's in the same marketplace. So, of course, the audience is going to expect something better. A lot of people think commercial means it's this template, do it, it's fine. But how many successful movies are there, and how many unsuccessful movies are there? Right? Like only 10% of such movies become successful, but everyone wants to try the same formula. Okay, do it, but do it with that conviction and like that really love for the audience to give that special experience. And that's what Bahubali did, I think. And after that, I don't know how many such movies came. Like last year, one film that I really enjoyed was Maanadu. I'm not sure if you've seen in Tamil.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's the Simbu movie, right? I wish I watched in the theater. And the thing is, it is a commercial movie. But it is so difficult to explain to the audience. But they made it in such a tone that they got it. And I watched it in the theater, and every 10-15 seconds, people were erupting because that loop started again and again and again. So you have to reinvent that commercial thing also. How long will the same thing also work? Yeah.
Right. So one other question I had was, we always hear that the grades of Bharati Raja, Balu Mahindra, and Balchandar. So have you seen their works? And if you have, so do you want to recommend any? Because I saw their filmography, and there are like a lot of movies, and I don't think I'll be able to cover all of them.
Yeah, and also, like, again, it comes to your attention and your how much time you have, how much patience you have on that day. But there are some amazing movies that they've done. I've also not watched all of them because a lot of them are in black and white and you really need to sit down and watch. But there was a time when I was watching all that. So Bharati Raja, I'd say watch Sigapur Rojakal. It has Kamal Haasan in it, and he plays a womanizing serial killer. And so this was, when was it made? I think it was 70s or 80s. And you can't believe that they made a film like that time, and it became a hit. I mean, maybe not the biggest blockbuster, but it was still like a pretty big hit. That thing, like stars would hesitate to do now, but Kamal did it back that time itself. Bharati Raja, I'll say that. Balu Mahindra, definitely Mundram Pere. I think it's come in Telugu also. Definitely it would have come in Telugu. So I don't know what it's called in Telugu, but Mundram Pere is Kamal and Sridevi. And Sridevi plays like this slightly a person with mental difficulties, and Kamal is someone who takes care of her, and it's like that relationship between them. Very nice.
I think it came in Telugu.
I think there is a Telugu.
Definitely, it would be in Telugu. Yeah.
Famous Ilayaraja, I think Ilayaraja.
There's a famous Ilayaraja song.
Yeah, of course. Ilayaraja was, that entire era was his only.
Yeah.
Every single thing he says. So Balu Mahindra is that. There's one more film by Balu Mahindra which I'll get to it.
I think Dharmakshetram, I think the movie.
No, Dharmakshetram is Telugu. We have Balaya in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have this. I was searching for Ilayaraja sir's posters or something on the net, and I don't find anything anywhere. But I was hoping Fully Filmy would have something of his.
Yeah. So we have to. We are really waiting for like an official merchandise. To get the official merchandise and then do it, because you have to.
Yeah, I
is it happening, or can we expect something?
We've already spoken to them, but it's like in terms of that, whether that, how do you say, that agreement works or not.
Okay.
And that is not something I personally deal with. My thing is totally into creative, whatever license we have, and then create more and more products based on that. Creative and marketing. Yeah, that's what I am.
I hope someday I see something.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you? So I've seen your videos. You recommend a lot of Western music, and you recommend a lot of Indian music as well. So, and I would arguably say that in India, A.R. Rahman and Ilayaraja will be at the forefront. Biggest music directors, even like whatever I have heard of. So how do you say, like I wouldn't say in comparison to Western music, but yeah, I think you get what I mean.
No, what I don't get.
So
representing like what he means is that in West there are music creators, right? So
yeah,
the viewership whatever they call it, for them the market is very huge. Even if they're making they make 1 or 2 singles a year, and they have millions and millions of numbers on Spotify or whatever streaming platforms. So, and when it comes to India, there are great music directors, music creators, but it is not the same for these people, like whatever tracks they create, and the kind of music Indian music directors create is also different. They cater to a particular film or to a story and characters, right? It is not like creating singles of their life or their life experiences.
Yeah.
So the viewership, he means to say about the viewership or the market, the representation on a world level, on a world scale. So A.R. is enjoying that because he has gotten two Oscars, but unfortunately Raja sir is not having that kind of thing, or are we ignorant of it?
I don't know if you have to worry about that, right? In the sense, like if we can enjoy it, then it's fine. But the thing is that's what, if you compare like with Korean music, like if you take BTS, Blackpink, or any of these bands, any of Korean movies also, why should Indians watch Korean movies when they don't even make it in English? Like of course, Korean songs, these BTS, Blackpink, they have some English in them. But the thing is, just read about this thing called the Korean Wave on Wikipedia. So they'll tell you how Korea was going through like a difficult time economically, and they decided to invest in culture, like in terms of pop culture, in terms of music, movies, all of that stuff. Getting more and more representation, getting more and more artists, showing it to a bigger audience. So the government really, really helped. And that's why now we are watching Squid Game, we're watching Parasite, we're listening to all of these songs and all of that. Here is the government helping. I don't know, like most of the shows get banned. Most of the movies get banned the next day. You don't know what is going to happen. Right. So it's difficult. That'll take some time because everyone has a problem with. It's not just the main government, right? Like whatever you put, there are so many different groups of people. There are so many different communities, religions, all of these people living, and everyone can express their opinion. That is fine, but everyone wants to create like a problem about it. In that sense, then creators get limited, right? It won't travel far. We'll be known for our controversies more than our content itself. So it's A.R. Rahman, people know because exactly like you said, because of the Oscars, because he scored for that film, which was recognized there. And it's all about that visibility and, it's mainly about marketing. Even if you want to put like an Indian film in the Oscars, like for foreign language, that involves a lot of campaigning. You have to invest huge amounts of money. You have to go there. You have to network. You have to, get a lot of agents and do all of that stuff. If the government helps more, then our movies, everything will travel wide. But at the same time, I really think that we need to make it for, how do you say, in the most original way for us as possible, as compared to imitating something that the West is making. Right. So
it should be more original and relatable to the people here.
Yeah, it will travel. It'll travel because if you take Iranian movies also, there's so much of ban, right? Like in the sense there is nothing, you can't do anything, but still there's this director. I don't know if you know Jafar Panahi.
Okay. No.
Asghar Farhadi is there. Jafar Panahi is another director. He's been banned so many times. He's not even at one point he wasn't allowed to enter Iran also. And he made a film inside a taxi. The film is called Taxi only. And he made an entire film he pretended to be a taxi driver picking up passengers and everything. He just kept a static camera here and I think two cameras he used.
Okay.
He made a film about it. And it's not boring. Like in the sense, it's not, you can't feel that you're watching something just inside a taxi. You're actually getting to hear so many stories. You're invested in that journey.
Right.
They make films despite the ban, despite there being so many restrictions and everything. Right. I think it was one more filmmaker. I'm not sure who, but he made children's films. He made films about children mainly because he couldn't talk about those issues with adults. Like in the sense, he couldn't make the story straightforward because it's going to be offensive. So he made like a symbolic version of that using children itself. And there are a lot of movies like this especially from the 90s, early 2000s and all of that. So that thing has to happen in India. It's going to take some time. This is something again, that producers roundtable, Zoya Akhtar was there on the roundtable, and she said that out of great restrictions is true art born. So that is yet to happen. It'll take some time, but we are all on a breaking point. I think with everything that's going on, like every day there's some new news of someone getting offended and beating some people up or burning something like that. But we're all on that saturation point. When it tips over, then different things will begin to happen, I guess. And hopefully good things in terms of art. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Doing the best out of the least resources they have, like the Iranian guys.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
So, I just wanted to say this. I'm a big fan of your editing skills. You edit your videos very well.
Thank you so much. I have no idea what I do, to be honest. Like, it is just
I
random.
mean, your videos are very engaging. Like, you keep it very engaging with all the editings, and especially with Vadivelu sir's memes at the right time.
Yeah.
Actually,
Thanks a
I
lot.
wanted to start this video by saying roll that intro, but I forgot that.
I'll edit it out. Don't worry.
Right.
So
Yeah. So when you were saying, right, we have to make like original that is rooted to us. I recently saw Mahan a couple of days before, and what Santosh Narayan does it in that movie is something else only. I've seen it in Karnan earlier. I've seen it in Vada Chennai, and here I don't know. He just brings a different sound. I haven't heard that kind of background music in many music. I've heard glimpses of that in Paruthaviran, and majorly I've heard it in only Tamil cinema. I don't know why, but I've heard glimpses of that in Paruthaviran, and Sana is bringing his new sound only. Yeah, I'm very excited for Sana is doing some Telugu movies as well now.
Yeah. Oh, really? Which one? What are you doing?
So he's doing one with Nani.
Nani. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
The only one, actually. And
I think after Rahman, I love Anirudh, like very big Anirudh fan, but that rooted sound, right? That quality, like when you if you've seen some of his videos, he makes music in the middle of a forest,
right?
Like
he
in an
keeps
open
dancing
farm.
there, yeah.
With a lot of his musicians around, and he uses like different instruments and all of that. So like when you listen to a Rahman song, even if you don't know it's a Rahman song, you're listening to it somewhere on the radio, you know it's a Rahman song, mainly because of how many layers are there. Even if it is simple, even then there's like some depth to it. So next to that, if you can just recognize something, it's Santosh Narayan, and then comes Anirudh, definitely.
Right.
Even though his songs are much more popular, much more catchy, like it needs one day to trend on YouTube or on Spotify, wherever. But Santosh Narayan is like, it's like Rahman, like kind of like slow poison.
Yeah, I remember, right? There is in Karnan there is a song where I'm not able to recall the song name, but
dances.
The first
there is this death ceremony, right?
Yeah.
Manjanati song. There is this,
the whole song, the way it was choreographed. I've seen the movie once, but I have seen the song more than 10-12 times. I don't know. It is a very peculiar song. It is a very sad song also, but I don't know. Something is there in Santosh Narayan, and the way the song is staged as well, and how Dhanush does it. Yeah, Dhanush just explodes on the screen on that song, I believe.
That entire film, like entire film is waiting for Dhanush to explode, like at multiple moments. That's what makes it so. Plus, of course, the story about what all of them are going through, right?
Right. Yeah. See, that is another great example of how commercial cinema can be reinvented or to be told in a very good way. And
some people would still argue that there is a lot of metaphors and all of that, and it's too artsy and all that. Some people would think, but I don't know. I think for me, Karnan was one of the best films from last year, 2021 only, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I definitely at number 2 or number 3. Yeah.
Right. And when you were saying about how rooted or how culturally ingrained a film should be, or whatever content you produce should be, that goes on to do good numbers. Karnan is a good example for that, and Garuda Gamana Rishabha Vahana from Kannada. It's also about a story based in what is that place?
Bangalore, right? Mangala Devi.
No, Mangala Devi, right? So Mangala Devi, and it's a story there about people from there and from their culture. I hardly know anything about it, and it's explained in a good way, and the story also built in the same way. So it just adds to that point we were saying about how original and how rooted you are. then you'll end up getting more praises and having international recognition.
Most
this is something
Malayalam
that
movies-
Vetrimaran says. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. This is something that Vetrimaran also says. Same thing. The more local you go, the more global you become. And like you said, every Malayalam movie, it's like you shot it in the next street, or you shot it in your friend's house, in the his backyard or something like that. But it's shot in such a way that the quality is so high, and it just immerses you completely. It is not. It is a world you're familiar with, but looked at from a different lens. And if you do that, that's like a perfect mix. That's why it's working for a lot of people. That's why, Tamilians, Telugu people, North Indians, everyone is watching Malayalam cinema. Bollywood is so confused looking at Malayalam cinema about how they're making stuff like this.
Right. Maybe that is what is missing in Bollywood, I guess. They are always trying to go metropolitan with their films.
I don't think so, because there was a wave of Ayushmann Khurrana movies, right? In Midtown, Rajkumar Rao's movies. But
even in the wave, you hardly see one or two good films, right? I mean,
yeah, but they are also not working right now.
They are not working right now. Yeah, that is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. For a long time, it was a Karan Johar's universe until 2010, and then in the middle, Anurag Kashyap came out of nowhere, and he started making films like Gangs, and even before that, he started with Black Friday and Gulal, and then Devdi, and then Gangs of Wasseypur just took it to another level. From that time, all of these other filmmakers started making rooted stuff from their little towns, villages, all of that. But yeah, that also has how you can't do the same thing again and again. Like Tanu It's Manu did that with that romance genre of staging like a love story in like a small town. But that also is like running out. You have to do something new over there. Yeah.
Right.
And then now they're doing remakes again, all over.
And create more controversy.
That's the thing I feel sad about Hindi cinema. It's like the audience is so wide that something will happen, some controversy, someone will get offended. That's the problem. They're an easy target.
Yeah. I guess that was it from my side.
Spoken for almost an hour.
Hour and a half. But yeah, I wanted to say a couple of things. I'm really excited for Fully Filmy. I guess Indian market actually do not know what merchandise is, because in West, merchandise is a very big player in films marketing and films making money, and Indians actually did not see what merchandise can do. And I'm very much excited for Fully Filmy, and the marketing is also on those lines, and the content creation is also helping or making the users accustomed to what merchandise marketing is. I think we have a long road, and I hope it is very successful. And
I hope so too, man.
And we meet more often making content.
100%.
Yeah.
I hope someday we have a Fully Filmy themed restaurant in Hyderabad.
And where we can record this podcast there.
100%. Now, like that is like it's been a dream of ours since a long time, but once again, now things are just opening up. Once we stabilize this, automate this thing, it has its own how do you say? It takes care of itself. Then we'll be able to do other things like the cafe and all that. That's something that we really want to do, and the vision for that is it's less of like a restaurant or a cafe, but more like a community experience which we want to create. So someday, hopefully within the next 3 years, it will happen for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess that is. What about your canteen podcast? I think you had one episode.
Yeah.
I guess, right?
I had totally three. No, the thing is, I that's what I start things, and for the few things I forget about it, and then someone like you reminds me, and then I feel bad for some time. No, the thing is, like, again, was trying to do a lot of things, and there are a lot of different things that have been going on, and for me to plan, get guests, schedule that thing, and then plan all of that. It takes a bit of time. So I want to really do it, but I need a little bit more mental space, and then it'll be back really soon.
Right. Looking forward to that as well.
Thank you so much.